if you did not watch college football this weekend and think college football is amazing, it's one of the most entertaining things in the world, you have no soul. We are going to talk about all the upsets right here on the Deep Dig of Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew. Please subscribe, guys. We are getting closer to 500. We really appreciate you guys watching and listening. And we're here every week talking about college football, NFL, all that good stuff. So I want to run through a couple of these games because we thought the biggest story was going to be, you know, Bama losing to Vandy. So for the top 10 go down, let's just start there because Bama down, Tennessee down, Michigan down. Who was it? Missouri down. And then you even had USC at 11 down. Miami almost got the L against Cal. Pavia, the quarterback for Vandy, is just a dog. Like this guy in plus 21 games where he's an underdog, has won 3 games, which is the most by a quarterback in college in 20 years. So this guy is used to being overlooked. After the Georgia Bama game, you kind of have you unloaded the clip. You know, Ryan Williams is at the top of the world. You're thinking, okay, Bama's definitely the best team in the country now. They just handled Georgia, and I know it got close at the end there, but they they were looking great for most of that game. And you come into Vandy just thinking, all right, get an easy win. Let's just get out of here. We're going to rest up. And when you come to Vanderbilt, you're going to learn about SEC football. They put on a show and ballsy calls for that head coach on 4th and 1 late in the game to do a fake screen, throw it deep to get the touchdown to really extend the lead for Vanderbilt. They just outplayed Bama. I don't think there was a lot that you could say where Bama's did wrong or they really regretted some plays. Vanderbilt just outplayed them. They outdogged them. And congrats to them. I still think they're in a good spot because of the way yesterday worked out where Tennessee ends up losing. Now Tennessee losing to Arkansas, and Arkansas is a team that I think definitely isn't one of the best in the SEC. They're closer. If Vandy's closer to the top than the bottom, Arkansas is closer to the bottom of the SEC. They got blown out by Missouri earlier in the year, who we didn't feel good about all season, thinking that they're kind of pretenders with their easy schedule to start the year. They lost to A&M by 4 last week. They've beat Auburn and UAB, and we've seen the dumpster fire that Trent Dilfer has over at UAB. But Arkansas, the defense looked tough. They had DB who was clutch, I think Slaughter, who played for the Volunteers last year, so it made this win for him even more sweet. And Nico, the quarterback at Tennessee, the commentators just going off about how he has ice in his veins, he's clutch. He's never led a game-winning drive. And he looked shook at the end of this game. Bobbled the snap, fumbled it away. Luckily, the running back got it. And then on the last play of the game, to not even put it up to give your guys a chance to just run out of bounds is insane. Like, throw the pick. I'd much rather live with you throwing the pick than you running out of bounds. So Tennessee looked like the powerhouse, the offensive powerhouse of college football, and to be held at 14 points by Arkansas is crazy. I mean, they were flying around the ball. They're making good plays, and it just felt like Tennessee had this confidence about them where they were like, don't worry, we're going to win this game. I'm okay with the let them score at the end because we want the ball back. But it felt like there was no urgency for Tennessee to be like, listen, we need to fucking score to be in the lead of this game. It felt like they were just waiting till then, like, yeah, we'll score. Whatever. We got Nico. We got an explosive offense. But they had 3 receivers banged up. They had linemen banged up. And they didn't act like they were desperate to get this win. They were kind of lollygagging at the end, I felt like. Michigan losing to Washington. I mean, we've said it all year. This isn't a good Michigan team. They're already at 2 losses. This should probably push them out of playoff contention. And I think they play Oregon later. They should play Indiana. They play Ohio State. I think they got at least 2 more losses on their schedule here. I think they're not even going to finish the season ranked. When you can't throw the ball, it's a problem. And you're only going to go as far as Donovan Edwards carries you. And without a quarterback, that's not very far. Alex Orji only went 3 for 7, 15 yards, and then you had Tuttle come in, throw 98 yards and a pick. I mean, Washington isn't this great team that they were with Kalen DeBoer. They lost to Washington State this year. What's their other loss? They lost to Washington State. They lost to Rutgers. So yeah, this Washington isn't like dominant. They they beat the Michigan squad by 10. I don't feel good about Michigan. I think this should drop them to like the 20s in the rankings. And I don't think we should be hearing about I don't even know if Michigan's gonna beat Michigan State this year, to be honest with you. But we'll see. If they have the schedule to win out. If they did win out somehow, they could sneak their way back in, but it's going to take a long shot for them to do that. And then we have Missouri. Missouri, we've been saying this for a week and a half. We saw this loss coming from from 100 miles away. We saw this loss coming for Missouri that they should never have been ranked this high. They should never have had this clout. A&M is a good squad. They play defense, especially with Connor Wegman back. He looked great. And I mean, they have two quarterbacks who I think look pretty solid. They win 41-10 on a number 9 Missouri team. If you didn't hammer A&M to win, maybe even alternate spread, give them points, like you have not been watching all season. Missouri is not that good. They haven't really played anyone. They beat Boston College barely. They beat Vandy by 3. They beat Murray State and Buffalo. And the last 2 weeks, they haven't been looking good. They've been struggling to beat Boston College, who's looking good, but they're not exactly a top 10 team in Boston College. Vandy, who we just said can compete, but if you're top 10, you're trying to win the SEC. Again, like Bama, you need to beat Vandy. That's a game you have to win unranked. I think this is the first time ever maybe that 2 top 10 ranked SEC teams lost to unranked teams. It was absolutely insane day for college football. USC lost to Minnesota. I mean, Miller Moss needs to be better. 2 interceptions. And then Lincoln Riley in the post game where they're asking if one of the players, because Minnesota on 4th and 1 on the goal line, like QB sneak, try to get the win, not called the touchdown first, then changed to a touchdown. They win. The press are asking the players of USC, do you think it was a touchdown? And Lincoln Riley to be like, what kind of question is that? Don't ask a player. Like, I feel like he's not handling the pressure of a USC team that had high hopes and is playing in a really good conference that I don't think they're going to be the top dogs in. If this was Pac-12, yeah, USC is running the show. But in a Big Ten, I just don't see them really making a lot of noise. If they beat Penn State, they change my mind. But Penn State, Notre Dame still on the schedule. Nebraska could be a sneaky game. They could definitely lose 2 more and be out of it. And then is Lincoln Riley, is that a success to lose 4 or 5 games in your first year with USC in the Big Ten? Not really, but I think he is building a good program there. Miller Moss got crowned way too early as like the Caleb Williams successor, that he's going to be better than Caleb this season. Definitely not seeing that, but I think he's solid and I think he's going to figure it out. Let's talk about this Miami game, because game day was crazy. I mean, I live in the Bay, so I'm like hearing all this stuff going on. I was thinking about going to college game day in Berkeley because I was like, yeah, I'll wake up at 5 a.m., maybe go at 6. These motherfuckers tore down the gates at 10:30 p.m. and partied, hung out until the game started basically at 10 a.m. McAfee was going crazy. You got a kid in dirty Vans kicking a field goal for 100K. I hope they bring college game day back here, and I hope Cal football continues to be good, because the Pac-12, well, former Pac-12, was lit, and with Pac-12 at night, they brought the Calgorithm, their crazy fan base. I hope Cal stays good, because the Bay Area needs an East Bay sports team to root for. And, I like them over Stanford. But that defense of Cal is dominant. I know Miami came back from a 25-point deficit, but Cal was looking great. And if a couple more of those tip passes went into the defender's hands for Cal, there was opportunities for them to seal this game with the interceptions. They dropped one, I believe, when they were up 20, around 20. They had one when they were up 13 that went through the defender's hands. So any one of those could have sealed this game. And I think at the end of the game, you're relying on the run game. It's kind of working, but then I think you are a little bit limited with Mendoza. I mean, Mendoza's a dog at quarterback, but to throw the ball consistently on third down is really tough for them. And he just couldn't put the game away. I know people are arguing about the targeting call for Miami, and if I wasn't a fan of Cal, I'd be like, I'm so happy that they let the players play the game and let the players decide, because Cal did not deserve a first down there to maybe potentially ice the game. They couldn't throw it. They're about 7-8 yards short on that run, and they were going to punt it back anyways. It was a targeting hit, though. In my non-biased opinion, apparently there's another angle where the helmet hits the shoulder, but from what I saw, it's clearly targeting, and there's going to be the narrative that the refs bailed out Miami again. Cam Ward is an anomaly where he will turn it over, make the worst. He probably made the worst interception I've seen in my life. Rolling to his right, literally inches off the sideline, throws up the most duck football I've ever seen. Easy pick six, where it's like, Cam, if we're throwing that away, like, we're in an okay spot. Like, I don't think Cam Ward likes to punt the ball. I think he's boom or bust to the highest degree, but I'll give it to him. They called a good game. They started just going to this go-to receiver at the end, and the defensive line for Miami clutched up, and Cam Ward clutched up. And is it a Heisman moment, how everyone's hyping it up? I don't know. It's against Cal. At the end of the day, it's against Cal. They had to come back from 20. It's not like he did this against Clemson. If this is against Clemson, I'm saying Heisman, hand it to him right now. But I love Cal, but come on, we're really saying this was his Heisman moment against Cal Berkeley for football? I don't know. You tell me, is that Heisman worthy that he had got them down so big and then had to will the team back? I mean, you could argue in the first place, if he wasn't throwing picks and, not looking great, they wouldn't have been down so much. So I don't know. A lot of top 25 teams lost this week. UNLV with a controversial one, Syracuse. And it's going to be crazy to see. Like, I think this is one of the most exciting college football seasons I've seen in a long time, because anyone could get in now. The shakeup in 1 through 10, the shakeup in 1 through 20 right now is going to be insane. I mean, do you put Navy and Army in this top 25 now? Where do you put these kind of lower tier, like Boise State? How high do they go now? Where Genty's looking like a Heisman candidate and they're blowing teams out. Ole Miss, now Jackson Dart has to be thrilled because now he's back in the conversation. Indiana, do you put them in the top 10 now? They're looking solid. Oregon State, do they, from 6 beating Michigan, are they top 3? Like, where do we put Penn State? They're 7 right now. Are they top 3? Like, I just don't know. Texas is clearly going to be number 1, but how far is the drop going to be for Bama? And how high does Georgia go after that? Because are you going to put Georgia above Bama, the team that beat them? It's going to be an exciting next couple weeks. And we're going to do the top 25 ranking show on Tuesday. Maybe I think we're dropping Wednesday morning. So you guys don't want to miss that. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you are there. We appreciate you guys watching. And we'll see you next time. Talk more college football. Peace.